All right. So I probably should have put a title on the live. But what's going on, people? This is Jamiel. I hope I can save this. I feel so silly. But anyways, what's this do? Okay. Anyways, um, some of you may know, I am also a voice actor, or I am a voice actor. I do voiceover work, and a lot of the voiceover work that I kind of do is e-learning or like audiobooks, narration kind of stuff. I'm still working on getting into acting and animation and stuff like that. Um, but either way, what I am doing this live for is I need to practice. I need to practice, and I figured, well, I do need practice reading and enunciating and articulating, and just in general, because if you're going to be a voice actor or if you're doing any kind of audio content, you got to practice. You got to try to get better at your craft. And something that I'm trying to commit to for myself and my own personal development is to read nonfiction content, or, like self-help personal development content, for at least 20 minutes a day. So if I set this up right, that means I have a timer going. And what I figured I'd do is just to hold myself accountable and to maybe share with you all so I can practice and grow, and maybe I can share some of the growth that I'm having with the content that I'm reading, that I will read out loud the stuff that I'm reading, that I'm supposed to be reading for 20, 30 minutes a day. I think I usually don't do the weekends, but today's Saturday and I have some time. But yeah, in the morning, I want it to be my routine that I spend 20, 30 minutes reading some nonfiction, personal development, self-help, stuff that changes your mindset, helps you think and grow. I'm going to do that every day, because I want to grow, I want to get better, and like with the rest of the content that I make, with the do make something, part of that is make something of yourself. And I think a lot of that goes with what we're consuming, what we're putting in our head. And so we should be reading things and consuming content that's actually helping us and benefiting us. And so while I'm reading for myself and while I'm practicing and I'm trying to enrich myself, I figured why not share that with you all, and come on here live and try to hold myself accountable, because if I'm not showing up, that means I'm not doing it. I mean, maybe, like some days I might not have service or something like that, but I want to get better at it. So what I'm reading now is, let me get up. I'm using my Kindle, but I'm reading what I have been reading is the Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And the next book that I'll be reading after this is Real Artists Don't Starve by Jeff Goings. But I need to finish this book first. And I'm not, I'm trying to work on that. Like, I know some people, they have the ability to just stop reading something and to just go into the next thing. Usually with a lot of, particularly nonfiction books, I trudge my way through. But thus far, like, I haven't really had many books that I was like, oh, this is terrible. And, and I just stopped reading it. Thus, like, this book has been really good. Like, I've never read this book before. But yeah, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson is, I would definitely say, is a must read. It's a must read for anybody, but particularly any, I would say, any black man. Read this book. It's a good book, and a lot of the things that the author talks about in this book, I say, still applies to this day. In this book, let me see if I can find the information about it without messing myself up, my place. Nope. I wasn't planning on saying all this stuff. Go to. Okay, cool. Preface? Nope, that's not what I want. Okay. So the foreword of the book that Carter Godwin Woodson wrote was 1933. So that gives you an understanding that it was a circa the 30s 1930s when this book was released, and a lot of the content and a lot of the things that he said is still relevant to this day, I believe. So today, I think my clock is already messed up, so I'll probably just read maybe just this chapter for today. But this is chapter 16. If I can pull it up. Chapter 16 of The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And the title chapter is The New Type of Professional Man Required. Negroes should study for the professions for all sane reasons that members of another race should go into these lines of endeavor, and also on account of the particular call to serve the lowly of their race. In the case of the law, we should cease to make exceptions because of the possibilities for failure resulting from prejudice against the Negro lawyer and the lack of Negro business enterprises. To require his services, Negroes must become like English gentlemen who study the law of the land, not because they intend to practice the profession, but because every gentleman should know the law. In the interpretation of the law by the courts, too, all the rights of the Negroes in this country are involved, and a larger number of us must qualify for this important service. We may have too many lawyers of the wrong kind, but we have not our share of the right kind. The Negro lawyer has tended to follow in the footsteps of the average white practitioner, and has not developed the power which he could acquire if he knew more about the people whom he should serve and the problems they have to confront. These things are not law in themselves, but they determine largely whether or not the Negro will practice law and the success he will have in the profession. The failure to give attention to these things has often meant the downfall of many a Negro lawyer. There are, moreover, certain aspects of law to which the white man would hardly address himself, but to which the Negro should direct special attention. Of unusual importance to the Negro is the necessity for understanding the misrepresentations in criminal records of Negroes, and race distinctions in the laws of modern nations. I don't know if I'm going to get kicked off because I'm saying Negro a lot, but whatever, we'll see. These matters require a systematic study of the principles of law and legal procedure, and, in addition thereto, further study of legal problems as they meet the Negro lawyer in the life which he must live. This offers the Negro Law School an unusual opportunity. Because our lawyers do not give attention to these problems, they often fail in a crisis. They are interested in the race and want to defend its cause. The case, however, requires not only the unselfish spirit they sometimes manifest, but much more understanding of the legal principles involved. Nothing illustrates this better than the failure of one of our attorneys to measure up in the case brought up to the United States Supreme Court from Oklahoma to test the validity of the exclusion of Negroes from Pullman cars. The same criticism may be made of the segregation case of the District of Columbia, brought before this highest tribunal by another Negro attorney. In both of these cases, the lawyers started wrong and therefore ended wrong. They lacked the knowledge to present their cases properly to the court. Our lawyers must learn that the judges are not attorneys themselves, for they have to decide on the merits of what is presented to them. It is not the business of the judges to amend their pleadings or decide their cases according to their good intentions. Certainly, such generosity cannot be expected from prejudiced courts, which are looking for every loophole possible to escape from a frank decision on the rights of Negroes guaranteed by the Constitution. These matters require advanced study and painstaking research, but our lawyers, as a rule, are not interested in this sort of mental exercise. The Negro medical schools have had a much better opportunity than the few Negro law schools which have functioned in the professional preparation of Negroes. On account of the racial contact required of white physicians, who are sometimes unwilling to sustain this relation to Negroes, the Negro physicians and dentists have a better chance among their people than the Negro lawyers. in the demand for the services of the former assures a larger income than Negro lawyers are accustomed to earn. But in spite of this better opportunity, Negro medical institutions and their graduates have done little more than others to solve the peculiar problems confronting the Negro race. Too many Negroes go into medicine and dentistry merely for selfish purposes, hoping thereby to increase their income and spend it in joyous living. They have the ambition to own fine automobiles, to dress handsomely, and to figure conspicuously in society. The practice of these professions among poor Negroes yields these results. Why not be a physician or a dentist then? Just so you know, I'm reading The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Too many of our physicians are like the one whom the author recently visited in New York City. When I heard you coming up the stairs, said he, I began to feel glad, for I was sure that you were another patient from whom I might extract at least $2 for a prescription. Yet one would wonder how that physician could prosper in his profession, for he had no special equipment for the practice of any kind of advanced phases of medicine. About all he could do was to look at the patient's tongue, feel his pulse, ask him a few questions, write a prescription, and collect the fee. The apparatus required for the modern treatment of serious maladies he did not have and seemed to have no ambition to possess. The Negroes of today are very much in need of physicians who in their professional work will live up to what they are taught in school, and will build upon their foundation by both experience and further training. In his segregated position in the ghetto, the Negro health problem presents more difficulties than that of the whites who are otherwise circumstanced. The longevity of the Negro depends in part upon the supply of Negro physicians and nurses who will address themselves unselfishly to the solution of this particular problem. Since the Negroes are forced into undesirable situations and compelled to inhabit germ-infested districts, they cannot escape ultimate extermination if our physicians do not help them to work out a community health program which will provide for the Negroes some way to survive. Negro medical schools and their graduates must do more preaching of the necessity for improving conditions which determine health and eradicate disease. A large number of physicians and nurses must be trained, and new opportunities for them to practice must be found. This can be done by turning out better products from these schools and the extension of hospitals among Negroes who have been so long neglected. In this campaign, however, the Negro physicians must supply the leadership, and others must join with them in these efforts. For medical schools, too, we must have Negroes with a program of medical research. Today, the world is inclined to give attention to the health of the Negro, since unsanitary conditions of the race will mean the loss of health among the whites. Philanthropists, however, hardly know how to proceed or which way to go because they have so long neglected the Negroes that they do not know how to provide wisely for them. And the Negro physicians themselves have failed to give adequate attention to these conditions. Negro medical students have not directed sufficient attention to the antebellum background of the Negro, who, still under that influence, indulges in superstitious and religious practices which impede the progress of medicine among them. One would be surprised to know the extent to which primitive medicine is practiced among American Negroes today. Often in the rural districts, they seldom see a physician. The midwife and the herb doctor there, pick up is something you say when you're doing voiceover, so that you know when to edit. It's a habit. The midwife and the herb doctor there control the situation. The greatest problem now awaiting solution is the investigation of the differential resistance of races to disease. What are the diseases of which Negroes are more susceptible than whites? What are the diseases of which the whites are more susceptible than Negroes? The Negro escapes yellow fever and influenza, but the white man dies. The white man withstands syphilis and tuberculosis fairly well, but the Negro afflicted with these maladies easily succumbs. These questions offer an inviting field of research for Negro medical students. While we hear much about medicine, law, and the like, their importance must not be unduly emphasized. Certainly, men should not crowd into these spheres to make money, but all professions among Negroes, except those of teaching and preaching, are undermanned. All Negroes in professions constitute less than 2.5% of those over 10 years of age who are gainfully employed. At the same time, the whites find certain of their professions overcrowded, and some of their practitioners could not exist without the patronage of Negroes. Negroes, too, should undergo systematic training for those professions in which they have shown special aptitude, as in the arts. They must not wait for the Americans to approve their plunging into unknown spheres. The world is not circumscribed by the United States, and the Negro must become a pioneer in making use of a larger portion of the universe. If the people here do recognize the Negro in these spheres, let him seek a hearing in the liberal circles of Europe. If he has any art, Europeans will appreciate it and assure him success in forbidden fields. In Europe, it should be noted, the Negro artist is not wanted as a mere imitator. Europeans will recognize him in the role of an enlightened artist portraying the life of his people. As an English abolitionist said more than a century ago, the portrait of the Negro has seldom been drawn but by the pencil of his oppressor, and the Negro has sat for it in the distorted attitude of slavery. A new method of approach, however, is now possible. There has been an awakening in Europe to the realization of the significance of African culture, and circles there want to see that life depicted by the Negro who can view it from within. There is a philosophy in it that the world must understand. From its contemplation may come a new social program. Herein lies the opportunity of the Negro artist as a world reformer. Will he see it? Will he see it and live, or continue the mere imitation of others and die? That was chapter 16 of The Miseducation of the Negro. The title of the chapter is The New Type of Professional Man Required. Again, this is, I was reading The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. I think that's enough for today. But yes, I'm working on trying to show up and reading daily for my own edification, and for my own practice as a voiceover artist, as a voice actor. And I want to share that with you, and I hope that you can help me help hold me accountable to do that. And I'm not sure of all the copyright stuff, but as I'm reading this, I'll probably store this somewhere on YouTube or maybe on Instagram as well. But yeah, I'm planning on just going through some books and sharing them with you all, and hopefully they will benefit you, as I'm hoping these books that I read will benefit me, and that I will get the practice so that I can become more proficient in my craft at voiceover and in general creating audio content and creating content for other people. But yes, enjoy your weekend. I know it's Juneteenth weekend and Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and much comfort and support and love to those who don't have a good relationship with their fathers. Don't forget those people that their dad's not in their life. Check on your friends that their dad's not around, or they're not, or not present or anything. Because just like during other holidays, it can be challenging for some people. But anyways, much love. Everybody stay safe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.